Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wildhorse adoption program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Good morning, friends. It is Friday, September 4th. No, it's not. It is September 12th. Oh my goodness. Where have I been? This is the walk out to the barn. I want to show you the garden. So I've got a lot of tomatoes. A lot of green tomatoes yet. Kale seems to be doing well. In some cases, it's fallen over there and has flowered, which I don't cut it because it is the bees and other pollinators like it. This is broccoli. We've had a little bit of broccoli. There's one little sprout there we'll have to grab. Anyway, walk out to the barn to feed the horses. Today is my day off. I am going to check in to work a little bit because we are leaving tomorrow to go back east to visit Randy's family, and I just want to make sure everything's buttoned up. There's a lot to do today. I need to pick those tomatoes and go look for more zucchini, although I picked yesterday and found a couple that were still quite small. So those will be very tasty today. Have to finish packing. Have to decide what knitting projects to take. And I think I have at least 2 in mind that I'm going to take, possibly 3. I always like to have 3. When I went to Wisconsin in May for my nephew's graduation, I took 3 projects, and I think I only worked on 1. In fact, I finished I basically started and finished a project during that time. So I'll talk about that. I don't have any finished objects. I have quite a number of garments on the needles, so that is just going to take a while. Horse-wise, the horses had their feet done yesterday. They are well fleshed for winter, so I may actually have to put them on a bit of a diet. I don't see them. They're probably in the round pen. That's where they tend to go. Oh, I see Bragi. It's probably hard for you to see Bragi. So they will be in good hands with a friend of mine who lives up the road. We trade horse care duties when we are out of town. We are friends, but because we do that, we can never go on a trip together, at least not an overnight one. We do trail ride together sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to get to feeding because I'm sure the horses would love that. Talk to you in the knitting portion. Howdy. Welcome to the knitting portion of this podcast. You'll see that I've moved because of that pesky light that you have seen in other videos, and I apologize for that. That reflection is a distraction, and now the light is over there. You can probably see some shadow, but I hope this is better. If you have a preference, definitely let me know. Let's get on to the knitting, shall we? I am wearing the Rocket Tee by Tanis Lavallee, I think is how you say her name. She's a Canadian knitwear designer. This is a little bit big, and if you check out the link in the project page, you will see the pattern knitted as it was intended. So this pattern is alternating stripes between fingering and mohair. I found the mohair stripes just a little too transparent, so I decided to frog it and then knit it with the mohair held with the yarn, and instead of stripes, I made these garter purl ridges. It turned out a little bit bigger. So I wear a tank top under it, and I would have to anyway because I don't like the feel of mohair next to my skin. This is pretty warm, even if it's short sleeved. So this is the perfect time of year to wear it. I'm going to get a sip of tea. On the walk out to the barn, I mentioned deciding which projects I want to take to Maine and New Hampshire with me. And I think I have them sorted out, but let's go through the whips, shall we? So the first one is in this bag. This is the Float Tote by Nitty Natty or Love in Stitches. This is a shawl that I wear a lot. It's a Stephen West shawl, but that is not part of this podcast today. So this has the Ghost Horses pattern, and this is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. So I'm still working on the body. I believe I'm on the final round of the body, but not the final round. The final chart. The body chart has 18 rows. And to get the length I want, I am knitting it 3 repeats of that. So I have probably, let me see, another 11 rows. So this will be in hibernation while we are away. Let me show you the front. It fits very nicely. I've tried it on. You may have seen my pictures on Instagram. So hopefully you can see those horses, and it's full color work, not just color work yoke, it's color work all the way down. So I have about 11 more rows, and then I will start the ribbing and then the sleeves. I'm using the purple yarn it's a variegated yarn, and it is by Spin Cycle. The contrast color is by Brooklyn Tweed, and it's a fingering weight. The Spin Cycle is a sport weight. However, I have found that Spin Cycle really, it classifies it as sport weight, worsted, whatever, but it's really kind of its own category. So let me see. The colorway for the Brooklyn Tweed is going to tell me? I think it's baseline. So it's in the tones line. And it's an American Columbia wool. Sourced, spun, and dyed in the USA. Spin Cycle yarns. This is the label. The colorway is called Nostalgia. So it has 200 yards in the skein, and the other one has 225 yards. So I knit a gauge swatch, a cute little gauge swatch, and I like the way that it performed together. So I'm also using a slightly larger needle than what's recommended. It's recommended a US size 4. I went up a US size 5 because I do tend to knit tighter when I am knitting color work. So I have Chogu red lace. It calls for a size 4. So I will, once I get back down to just stockinette, I may switch back to that. And then the ribbing is in US size 2. That is that project. So I probably won't knit on it anymore today. And then we're trying to leave the house tomorrow by 5 a.m. So yeah, is that right? To get down to the airport, hopefully by 6, because our flight leaves at 8. Let me talk about one project that I know I'm taking. So this is in the penguin and polar bear bag made by my mom. This is the Love Note, and it is by Tin Can Knits. This is the second time I've knitted this pattern. Trying to get all the strings and things out of the way. So I've made some significant progress on it. I may have separated for sleeves last time. I don't quite recall. But I'm working just on the body in stockinette. And this is a fingering weight yarn held with a mohair. The yarn is repurposed, so it's already together because I frogged a different project that was mohair held with fingering weight. The blue colorway is by Nativity. So he just does custom dyes every month and then posts them on social media, and then you can purchase it. So I bought 2 skeins of that yarn and then found a mohair that matched. So this one is going. This one will be very easy to knit in the airplane. Here's another project that is going. This is in a bag, a quilted bag made by my mom with a zipper. This is a pair of socks. These are the Lemontop Socks. This by Kay Jones. This is a patron pattern. I think it came out in June. I haven't got very far on it. I've been really just saving it for airplane knitting. So I'm using Chogu red lace, magic loop, and I am using this lovely yellow colorway. I've only done that much, so just still very much working on the cuff. This is called Daffodil. This is hand painted in North Pole, Alaska. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and this is Bad Sheep yarn. Very pretty. So I've only knit, looks like 7 rows of the ribbing so far. So some airplane knitting for sure. So I think those 2 projects are going to go on the plane with me, because it is a long flight from Seattle to Boston. What else? So I think I have another sock pattern that I left out in the other room, and it is another Kay Jones pattern. It's another patron, one of her patron patterns, and it's a striped sock. So maybe I will have at least a half-finished object next time I do a podcast, which reminds me, I'm not going to do a podcast next week, but I'm hoping to put together a vlog from our travels. Here is one I have been working on. This is in the garlic bag. So this is the, I think where I left off last week. I was going to frog the So Faded with that colorway that I'd been saving. I really like it. It's the Woolen Women. It was the May Woolen Women box, and it was the colorway was Kentucky Derby. It was very pretty. It was on a light color background with lots of pinks and purples, and so I did frog that. I am going to knit that into a colorwork sweater instead, but I decided to cast on the So Faded. This is by Andrea Mowry. This is what it looks like. And I am instead using this kind of more orangey pink. I just joined in the round. So that's where this is. It looks like I'm inside out. But this is yarn that I won in a drawing at Fiber Fusion Northwest in June. This is an Idaho dyer. I got to pick the skeins, but I won basically three skeins of yarn. So here is the colorway. I am knitting this on a US size 4, and also the ribbing is in 2.75. I think it calls for, the recommended is a size 5, but that would be too big for me. It's Trilogy yarns. This colorway is called Peony. Hand dyed in Boise, Idaho. And this is an 80/20. And the colors that I am going to fade are these. So I think this is I hope this is going to work. So it's going to go like this. So I think it's going to be quite pretty. I read the directions, and it recommends starting to fade at 3 1/4 inches. I am not sure. Oh, well, now I've got 2 measuring tapes in here. Isn't that handy? I'll have to read the directions again. You know what? Maybe I'll just measure it right now. Oh, I can see the light. You can see me going in and out of the light. Hopefully that's not too annoying. But let me see. I have, wow. So if I stretch this out, I'm almost at 4 inches. So I'm going to have to start fading here soon. I have so much yarn left, though. I think I would like to maybe fade maybe at 5 inches or something like that. So I'll have to reread the directions. But I think this is going to, no, I think this is going to stay here. That's just a little too complex for me to think about fading while I'm probably visiting and traveling, and I'll be doing a lot of the driving. I can't knit. Oh, I do have 7 inches written down based on the length. So there's a formula in the pattern on page 5 that says how long to, based on the length of your sweater, there's a formula on how to do the fade, because the fade takes about 1 1/4 inches. So you do the total length, and then you have to take out a couple inches, 3 inches for the fade parts, and then subtract it from your total length, and then that's how you get your measurements for the fade. So, well, that makes me feel a lot better. So I can, maybe I'll work on that some today. So I should see how many rows I have so far. I think I probably have about 30 rows, so I could probably do another 30, is my guess, until I have to start fading. So that'll be great. Okay, And the final project that I brought in to show you is the 100-acre wood blanket. Again, this is a K. Jones. Oops, I didn't get all the pieces back in the bag. That would be a tragedy, wouldn't it? It's like, where are my needles? Okay. This is also in a bag made by my mom. There's a lot of scrap yarn in here. And I typically knit this just on Scrappy Sundays. So, and this is all I knit on last Sunday. So I do have some progress to share with you. Get the needle out of here. So, and I did sew in some ends. So this is where I showed you last time. So in this peachy colored one, and then I have since added these. So 4 squares. Can't believe that's all the knitting I did on Sunday, but that's what I did. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe I knit on some socks or something. So a fairly short segment about the knitting. I am going to put some projects in hibernation. I have the Colorwork socks by Charlotte Stone. Those are in hibernation for now. I don't know. The Colorwork sweater that I mentioned, this is also for a knit along with Knitty Natty's membership. And I know they're casting on, but I already have a Colorwork project that's well underway, and whips are allowed. So I may just do that. Just do one project at a time, even though I have a lot of things cast on, or I'm knitting a swatch for that new Colorwork sweater. So I don't know. I won't have to think about it for a while, at least until we get back on a week from Saturday, a week from tomorrow. So I can think about that stuff on Sunday. What else is going on? It's definitely fall around here. So it's still warm. We still haven't had much rain, and I am craving rain. It is kind of crazy how much I am craving rain. It's just, we've had like one day of rain here and there. I mean, I know we had rain on my birthday in June, and there might have been a day of rain in July, and maybe a day of rain in August. But usually by now it starts to get more rainy. I think it's supposed to start raining more regularly while we're gone. The temperature has been really nice. It's been like in the low 70s. So, I'm starting to shut windows, and the heat sometimes comes on in the morning. It's often quite foggy in the morning until the sun burns it off. The flies are down. So, all great things. There's lots of ripening going on in the garden. I only have to mow the lawn like every 2 weeks now. I mean, if I was fastidious about stuff like that, I'd still mow it every week, but I'm not going to. I'm not that fastidious. That's what's going on. I think my trainer's coming today. I haven't heard otherwise. So Bragi should get some practice. And that is about all the news that I have. So take care, everyone. I'm just going to check my notes really quick just to make sure that I didn't leave anything out before I say goodbye, and then say, oh, by the way, yeah, I don't really have anything else. It's been a fairly ordinary week. It just takes a lot to get ready, especially when you have animals, to go on a trip. Oh, by the way, we took Harley to the vet. It wasn't yesterday, it was the day before yesterday, because we thought he had a UTI, and which is not uncommon in male cats. He was just acting a little grumpy, and we have this litter that's an indicator of alkalinity, and the more alkaline the urine is, it indicates a possible UTI. But the vet couldn't find anything. We were just glad to get it checked out and know that he's okay. So our cat sitter will hopefully not have to deal with anything while we're gone. And it's, I love traveling, but I also hate leaving. I don't know if any of you have that same sort of tension. The getting ready and then leaving behind the critters that you deeply care about. I always miss the cats the first. That's, within a couple days, I miss the cats. But I know the horses and the cats will be under good care. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. We'll see you from lands afar from here in the next week. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching.